Welcome to the Life in Michigan podcast. Life in Michigan is more than an online magazine. We share the stories, experiences, and vibrant personalities that make the Great Lake State truly unique. In this podcast, we bring you inspiring, heartwarming, and sometimes unexpected conversations with people who call Michigan home. From the rugged beauty of the Upper Peninsula to the bustling creativity of Kalamazoo, we'll cover the stories and define what it means to live, work, and play in Michigan. Today we are talking with Kate Hardy and Laura Lukofsky from 6 Feet Over about their vital work here in Michigan. Katie and Laura, thank you so much for being on the Life in Michigan podcast.
Thanks.
Happy to be here.
Awesome. It was great to meet you guys at the Great Beer, I always get it. I always want to say Great Beer State and then Great State Beer, but the Great Beer State Conference in Kalamazoo recently, and it was really nice to meet you guys and talk with you, and then also see your presentation that you were doing, which is really, I think, pivotal and so much needed around the mental health and dealing with suicide, basically. So, can you tell folks that are listening a little bit about yourselves and what is 6 Feet Over?
Okay, well, I'm Kate Hardy. I'm the executive director and founder of 6 Feet Over. 6 Feet Over as an organization, we focus on suicide prevention and postvention services. So our prevention, we have a program called Suck It Suicide. We go out into communities, so bars, festivals, local shows, concerts, whatever, anything that people invite us to where that might be the appropriate theme, something called Suck It Suicide. We sell merch, we answer questions, we give practical advice. People can tell us their stories. We give consensual hugs when needed. We just hang out and we talk to people like they're real people. We try to, not use a lot of the clinical language and just explain things to people, or just give them an opportunity to have a conversation they may never have had before, or ask questions they don't feel comfortable asking. And most of our merch designs were designed by Michigan tattoo artists. So we catfish people into coming over. They think that we're either like a clothing brand or a tattoo shop, and then suddenly they're telling us about all their trauma, and I'm here for it. I love it. And then our postvention is basically the care of somebody who's experienced a suicide loss. And that is also a prevention technique because loss survivors are at higher risk for also dying by suicide. So they get one-on-one care through our program Lemonade with emotional and resource support and some limited financial support. Currently in Michigan, we don't have funds to support financial support, but the emotional and resource support we absolutely still do. And we've been around unofficially since 2012. So
Wow.
Officially since 2014.
Wow. Awesome.
Oh.
Yeah.
Laura. Hey. So I'm Laura, and I'm the administrative coordinator, and I also do QPR training, which is an important thing for people. Like, it helps the community so much, the QPR training, which we can get into that later. But I have been with 6 Feet Over now for just a year. Actually, I just hit my year mark.
All right.
And before that, I would come home to visit and volunteer with Katie because it's so much fun to volunteer with her because you're going to cool events and you're not in the sweaty part of the event. You're like in your own area. So it's almost like a free ticket to, like we go to Hamtramck Labor Day Festival. We do all the prides in Detroit and we do all the local big events. And then you just get to help every community you're a part of. The thing that I think was the most surprising to me when I first started on, not as a volunteer, but actually working for 6 Feet Over, is just how unprepared Michigan families are for a suicide loss. It is, I mean, people think the hardest part is the funeral, but it's not that. It's the after part. And it's when the casseroles stop coming. It's,
Yeah.
you have to have people there to show up for you and to help you through that. Everybody's got grief and trauma, and a lot of us have unfortunately been trained to not talk about it, and that it's weak to talk about it. But now that I'm doing these different events, like we do a lot more veterans events, and when you talk to people like veterans who feel so forgotten, and they're the people, and first responders, police, firemen, they're the
Yeah.
people that you go to for help. So they have a really hard time reaching out for help. So there's a lot of aspects of suicide that that have really blown me away just working with Katie. And the fact that Katie can have boundaries in her job and not like just go home and just be sad every night,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
fact that she's able to do this is just so impressive to me because she's been doing it for a long time, and it's a lot. It's a lot of work.
It's a lot.
It's a
Yeah.
lot.
Well,
And then she was like, "Well, you're on now, so you're going to help me with the stuff I don't have time with." Oh my gosh, is there so much stuff that she's got to do? I cannot believe one woman was doing this. Like, it blows my mind. So, I mean,
yeah.
obviously we have volunteers and stuff that help with things, but yeah,
Yeah, I
she's
was
got
the
to take care
sole
of all the
employee
stuff.
until 2022.
Holy
Wow.
cow.
So now there's, including myself, 6 staff people. So I would say I did 4.5 of those people's jobs up until recently.
Oh,
So, like, I
man.
appreciate the help. Trust me,
Yeah.
Laura's doing a great job.
When we ran into you guys, like clashed, it was like more like a clash. We clashed into you two at the conference in January. You were really excited because you had contacted, I think it was Jeff Daniels about setting up a table. Did that happen?
Yeah, so what had happened is, okay, so when we found out we were losing our funding, we went into panic mode trying to figure out how to raise money. So one of the things I told Katie was, I'm just going to reach out to anybody that's got a sold out show and just see if they'll let us sell merch there. And we have resources we hand out and things like that, but just to help us get some
Mhm.
supplemental money in. And yeah, I had reached out to Jeff Daniels people because he was at the Owasso Theater, the Lebowski Theater. It was in Owasso, and he had a sold out show. So I reached out to his agent, and I just said, "Hey, I saw Jeff has a show. Um, it would be great if we could try to raise some money just by having a booth there. We promise we'll be out of the way, but please, check with Jeff to make sure that he hasn't, recently gone through something like that. We don't want to affect his performance and, whatever. And, just if he's okay with it, just let me know and I'll reach out to the theater and, get it together." And then like 5 minutes later, I get an email back and she's like, the lady that helped me, um, just said, "Jeff already called the theater. You've got a place in the box office before the show and you've got a place in the lobby after the show. And, you guys are doing great." And like it was just really sweet. And I was
That's
just
awesome.
really impressed because you want to believe like Michigan people are like a realer people. Like, and we really do take care of each
Realer.
other. Like we try to take
Realer.
care of each other, I feel. And like then that's like kind of one example. And another example is like one of the bars that we love to go to for venues is Smalls.
Oh, yeah.
We've been reaching out to them and they would just
Yeah.
anytime there was a free night that I could go, just go set up and talk to people. And I've met some really cool people just by being at places that we maybe wouldn't have gone to before because like we do big events,
Mhm.
but when you do like these, like it was a 500 seater in Owasso, and I want to say Smalls can fit like 200 or 300 people. So
And
it's
I'll say this: Smalls is probably our longest venue supporter.
Nice.
they're
So
great.
Mike and Natalie are probably our longest supporters, and they're great humans, and I love knowing them, and I'm lucky to know them.
Yeah.
So our very first fundraiser we ever did was there in 2012.
Wow.
And it was because we had lost a mutual friend, Jason Lockwood, to suicide, and he was a Detroit music and venue and all sorts. He was a brilliant human. But yeah, Mike and Natalie at Smalls all day,
Yeah.
every day.
And their
Awesome.
sound is great there. I've never seen a show there where the sound was off. I
Yeah.
mean,
It's a
it's
great.
just a great
I
Yeah.
have, but it was the sound guy's fault. It's always the sound guy's fault.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
man. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Smalls is fantastic. They do a lot of cool things, a lot of cool fundraisers for their community, for Detroit in general. And yeah, and the sound is cool. I will say though, sometimes as a photographer, I'm just going to get on my horse on the photography horse. for concerts, the lights kind of suck there. So
Totally.
they need to do a little bit better job there, but otherwise fantastic. So
Agreed. It looks good while the show's happening, but for trying to take photos, it's real rough. And then in the bar, it's like that red light. And I
Yeah.
always call it the red light special.
Yeah.
Because every time you take a photo in there, everybody's just glowing red.
Yeah.
I
But
look hot in that light, so I'm fine with
me
it. They can
too.
put that
I'm a
red one.
fan. I'm a fan of the red light. But yeah,
Well,
but they're great. And yeah, they show up.
I don't mind the red light. It's the magenta. It's just, I don't know. It just blows everything out. But anyway, so I'll stop talking about photography and I'll get back to you guys, which is, you do these shows, or you do these shows. They're basically like shows, but you go to venues that are loud and, there's a bunch of stuff going on. But it's like this real life kind of conversations that you're trying to have. And I think that's the point of Suck at Suicide. A different vibe from just a clinical thing where, a psychologist or a psychiatrist is talking to somebody, or, a social worker. It's a completely different vibe. So why do you feel like that is important?
Oh, babe. Okay. So I come from a background of like, I'm an old school punk rock hardcore kid, right? And if you put Kittens Hanging from Branches and Teal and Purple in front of me, I'm like, cool, that's great for you, Karen, like not for me. But if you, and also I'm somebody that you need to talk to very straightforward. So I find what I call the social worker voice, and I love social workers. I've got tons of friends who are social workers, but it's a stereotype that I have placed upon them myself. It's a gentler cadence, and it's tell me how you're doing. How does that make you feel? Whereas if somebody comes to me and says, I want to die, I go, okay, what's going on?
Yeah.
It's a different kind of conversation, and both are needed. That's the thing. So I lost my mom to suicide in 2003 when I was 20 years old. What saved my life was going to see Madball in the shelter with my buddy TJ, and then go, you know what I mean? Like I was going out and I was doing things, and I was with people who understood that I didn't need soft pillows. I needed hard edges. So having the opportunity where you can have hard edges with a soft landing is kind of what we want to go for. There are tons of people out there. There's millions, billions of people. Not one thing is going to fit. Mm-hmm. So I knew that this was something that was missing for me. So when I accidentally started this is what worked for me, and it's what worked for my friends in my community. And as it turns out, it works for other people too. So we welcome everybody. It just started for the non-mainstream individuals and musicians, the artists, the cats that worked at venues and were stage hands and security and door and all that stuff too, bartenders. So it works because a lot of people just need to tell their story and maybe have their hand hold, but also be told you're badass. Look at you go, like you're surviving this. That's awesome. And then that's all they need.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the band people too. I mean, we'll go to shows and the band members will come up and say, I lost a girlfriend, or I lost it really just our presence helps people, because it helps them know that they're not alone, and that other people have, are going through or have gone through something similar. I mean, everybody's different and everybody's life is different. That's what makes us all who we are. But when you can kind of show people that life goes on, and that it's not it doesn't have to be as painful by trying to do it by yourself, just by knowing there's support out there. It's everything. It's like every time we do an event, there's people that come away from our tent that didn't expect us there and are so grateful that we were, because it just is like, wow, I didn't even know I needed to talk to you about this today. It's cool. And I love that we lure them in with our cool merchandise, because then they come over to shop, and then all of a sudden, like Katie said, then they were talking about every trauma that they've ever gone through.
And we're here for it. We're like, tell me about it.
Yeah, we're here for it.
We might tell the story again, but we completely anonymize it. Like we had a person come and they talked about this experience, but you got to make sure that it's not like sharing so much information. But it's a really cool experience for the volunteers and the staff who do it. But there wasn't anything like it when I was 20 and I had lost my mom. And then I've now lost 11 friends, or 11 people total. And just to know that there's other people, like to show, if I had been a 20-year-old and showed up at that Mad Ball show and there was something like this available, I don't know what that would have done to the trajectory of my life or my health and well-being at that time. And people deserve more than what they generally get. And so we just want to be able to give people more than what they generally get, especially in an area or a situation or an environment that you aren't expecting it. I think it also speaks volumes to the community at large, especially the music community, where it's, you know, I remember 22 years ago when my mom died, this wasn't something that was talked about at all. And now people are, okay, we're going to talk about it, but I want to do it the right way. And I think that's always been the biggest fear, people not talking about suicide or mental health or what, you know, being a loved one or loving somebody who is struggling, what to do. We didn't have those answers. So just being available to the community, I think is, and people being open to having that communication. It's really cool. I don't know, I like it.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
And it's after suicides, families are just left dealing with like trauma, logistics, money, isolation. All of that is happening at the same time. And a lot of people just have such a hard time getting through that, obviously, just because all those things at once. But the fact that we're there to step in and like fill those gaps for people and just be like, we're here for you. What do you need? You know, how can we help you? And just, you know, it's just such a good, it makes me so happy. I told Katie, I was like, I'll never quit. You're stuck with me forever. Like I go, I don't know what you thought you got signing me on here, but you got a lifer because you see in real time like the effect we're having. And what's cool now is Katie's son, Griffin, he's in high school. He's a 16-year-old. And I watched him have this incredible moment with this mother. We were doing Frankenfest. Have you guys ever gone to Frankenfest? It is an absolute riot. It's at historic Fort Wayne in Detroit. And we just went in 6 feet over last year and we had a booth there. And while I was there, I had Griffin and his high school bestie, and they were my, you know, they were my coworkers. You know, his friend was volunteering and Griffin was working. And that's always funny because I'm working with two 16-year-old boys all day at a horror convention. So there's like, they were just in bliss overload. There was all kinds of fun stuff to go do. But they were so good in the booth. And what was so cool to me was seeing folks that were really young want to talk to them because because I always joke, like, no one wants to talk to the old suicide ladies in their 40s. Like, we're not who they want to talk to. Like these like kids are like 12 and they're looking up to these guys who are 16. Like, these guys are cool, you know, with their metal shirts on and stuff, you know, they're so cool. But, you know, but it just was like when I had this woman come up and she was talking to me about a loss, and she was there with her little daughter who is 3. And she was, you know, and me and her were talking through it, and Griffin had happened to come back in after he was out running some errand or whatever. And I said, "Hey, Griffin, can you grab something, like, you know, whatever." I asked him for something, but she had heard his name, and she just looked at me and she got all pale, and she said she had lost a son named Griffin when he was a baby. And then the little daughter even jumped in and was like, "We miss, you know, my brother," and all this stuff. And it was like this really like sad thing. And she goes, it was so wonderful to hear his that name being spoke aloud, because, you know, sometimes, you know, we try to say his name, you know, and stuff, but sometimes it can be hard for me. And so I said, "Hey, Griffin, I got somebody over here I want you to meet." And now this is like a cool 16-year-old kid, by the way. So I just want to preface this by saying he's cool. Like, I didn't expect this, but he goes, and I go, "Griffin, you know, this is you know, someone that I'm talking to here, she had lost a son named Griffin, and I just really wanted you two to meet each other." And he didn't even say anything. He just went over to her and he hugged her, and they just stayed hugging each other. And then, of course, I'm getting choked up now thinking about it. And then, of course, when he tells Katie the story later, he's like, "Yeah, I gave some lady a hug, no big deal." Like, it was like something like that. And I was like, "No, what's what happened, Katie? I mean, that's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen." But yeah, so it
he
just
worries constantly that he's being a bad human. Like, he's a terrible liar. He never gets in trouble. He looks like the bad kid, but he's like the nicest guy. He's just like his dad. And yeah,
he's got
so
the angry face.
Laura tells me this story, like, "Yeah, it's beautiful." And I was like, "Griff," separately in the car. I'm like, what happened?" He goes, "I don't know, just give me a hug. Give me a hug." I don't know.
Whatever. Like, his friend was crying, I was crying, like it was like a big moment. And then, of course, no one brings that up, but it's just nice to see, like, the younger generations are just more open to just love, and they're more open to mental health stuff too, which is cool. Like I think
That is
about my
really
parents
cool.
who are in their, they're in their late 70s, but the way that they think about mental health is, well, if you have to talk about it, something's broken, something's
Yeah.
wrong. And then when you get to my age, like I'm 40, how old am I? I'm 43.
Old, you're
I,
older, or you're an elder
Elder.
yeah,
millennial.
I'm an elder. Oh, I know, an elder millennial. But our group is better with it. But then we're like, but how do we pay to get help, mental health help? And then like the younger group is more on board for it. But then they're in the same thing, like, well, now it's even more expensive than it was, when you guys were trying when you were our age. And it just, there's a lot of lacking in our we're a band-aid. We're a band-aid
Yeah.
to a societal issue here because
Yeah.
obviously there's education and social programs need to be in place, and we just need to be more honest and open about
That's
that kind of
another
stuff.
show entirely. We could talk about
Another
the
show, I
Oh,
systems.
know.
yeah. Yeah. Well,
But
and as you were mentioning when you both were talking, I was thinking of the fact that it was never talked about when I was a kid ever,
Mhm.
like death,
Well,
anything to do with it. And the
yeah,
fact that we still, like, I'm 62 and still the world still can't embrace that, and we can't fund those things. Yeah, we could talk about that for hours because that's a huge problem that
hmm
we're still dealing with. But
it doesn't make
I'm
our job easy either.
yeah, but I'm so thankful you guys are out there doing these things because that's important, and yeah, it's fabulous.
Well,
it,
thank you. Appreciate that. We like it.
So, like to get into a specific, your lemonade program provides tangible, like real money financial assistance, right? For the things that are around it when somebody does.
Usually. So
You
we say funding for after death costs.
okay.
Um, Currently, we don't have any money available outside of the county of Marquette. They have a specific fund that is set up for our programming. So Marquette County is the only county in Michigan currently where we can provide financial assistance for after death costs. That part of all of our programs, services, Second Suicide or Lemonade, were inspired by experiences of myself or my friends. So I put on fundraisers to pay for my friends' funerals. My mom had life insurance. So that's the emotional resource side that we fit into it.
Yeah.
But I've raised a lot of money to help my friends' families pay for their services, or for their grandmas to stay in their houses because that friend was helping paying their rent, or the pregnant wife to have stable housing and food and support. Um, there's victims assistance that's available for the families of murder victims, but there is nothing available for the families of suicide loss. And they're also further penalized depending on whether or not somebody has life insurance. And if they do have life insurance, is there a clause? So in Michigan right now, that is on pause, and we are trying to do everything we can to raise enough money to get that part up and going. But we're going to need about $100,000 to be able to get that going again.
Wow.
Which is nothing quite just. And I don't know if you guys knew this, but if your core demographic of people that you do the majority of your fundraising with are like punk rockers, or there's a large portion of them that they're crust punks and they train hop, not exactly bringing in $10,000 donations.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, we are aware.
Oh yeah, we know.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
$1 at a time works too.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. So
yeah.
yes, theoretically, yes. And the science part of that is that when you law survivors are already, again, at a higher risk of dying by suicide, financial burdens is a huge risk factor. So people who do not have the financial ability to cover the cost of their person's service, that is detrimental in a bunch of different ways, right? Like they feel like a failure. They feel like they can't, give dignity and memoriam to the person that they loved and lost. So it's harmful for their own personal well-being. A lot of times we've helped families who have been a day or two away from having to give their person up to the state.
Oh my God.
Because at a certain point, if a claim body can't stay at an ME's office anymore, and you either need to claim it or it's just given to the state, then they do services. So giving people that are surviving that dignity and respect and that ability to mourn and grieve as a group and appropriately, and give them what they need and what they deserve, frankly, but also the person who died, that dignity, respect of having a service where they are remembered for the full human that they were. Super duper important to us. Additionally to that, there's also the cleanup that may be involved after some violent deaths. We've had people, horror stories where people are like, I had to clean it myself, which is terrible.
Yeah.
And we don't want that to happen. So we partner with biohazard cleanup companies, but again, we still have to pay them.
Pay them. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And it ain't cheap.
Yeah.
My gosh. And people aren't doing well. I mean, it's frustrating to watch too, because we hear these stories as they're coming in, and your heart goes out to every single one of them, because every single one of them could be someone every situation could be someone that was close to you. And when you it's such a humanizing job is just being able to process all of that and be able to come forward and help people. Like Katie was saying, it's like the donations help, but showing up for people after the fact is just as important, and providing education and being able to help communities after a loss, because it's not just one family. It can affect well, Katie probably knows. Here we go. Hang on. This is my suicidologist. Let's get her. Let's get her in.
I'm a suicidologist. So Dr. Julie Serrell, she is a researcher out of the University of Kentucky. She's a brilliant human being. She's pocket-sized. She's like this big in her pocket. Brilliant. But for a long time, the thinking was about 6 people were impacted by each suicide. By impacted, it meant that it changed their life in some way, in like a meaningful way. Her research showed that it's more like 135.
Wow.
And that's changed their life in a meaningful way. And there's still periphery beyond that. It's the more high profile somebody is, the more it's going to change them. So if a celebrity dies, it may actually impact people's lives that they would have never met, even because they already knew who they were. So if you actually think about how many people you see on a daily basis, weekly basis, that you work with once a year, that you might see once a year, or you may have done something to change their life 20 years ago and haven't spoken to you since, your death would still impact them in some way. So it impacts so many people, and you don't know how it's gonna come through with them. And a lot of people need and deserve support. And it's not a competition. I remember being a kid, and Laura and I went to high school with each other too, by the way. And we similar high school losses. We knew the same people who died in high school, but it was like a competitive thing. Like, you weren't their best friend, so why are you upset?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right. An ownership to it.
There's an ownership to it. And I think people sometimes do that to themselves. Like, I didn't know them that well, so I shouldn't be this upset. So they end up not getting help for it or seeking support when they need it. So like, there's a whole spectrum, and any impacted person who's gone through a loss could come to us just for the emotional and resource support if they really, really wanted to. And we're, again, a triage with Lemonade too. We try to find them those long-term supports, but they would have the opportunity for us to help them find those long-term supports too.
Nice. So I'm curious about the name Lemonade. Is it a twist? So I was wondering, is it a twist on life gives you lemons, you make lemonade?
Sure is. Also, thank you for figuring that out. I am not a designer. I am not a marketing expert. But one thing I realize that I'm somewhat good at is figuring out what I can make into a cool logo. So I was like, this has like great colors to it. Everything for suicide loss is teal and purple and maybe gray, right? If our pamphlet is on a table surrounded by teal and purple, and there is a bright yellow, black and gray, with a cool logo of a lemon that looks like an old gas sign, somebody's probably going to pick that up first.
Yeah.
Which is what we want, because we are that between your loss until you find those long-term supports, we're that triage. So that's important that they find us quickly. Yeah. So that's why you are not dumb, Chuck. Way to go.
Yeah.
Oh man, now I feel super good.
My gift. It's what I do.
I always laugh too, because I always think about like how what we do is so serious, but we have so much fun together doing it. And I think one thing that's great is anyone who's had any sort of trauma has a great sense of humor because you made it this far. What's helping you stay positive? And it's that sense of humor. It helps a lot. So like when people come over to our booth a lot, like we're laughing, we're talking to people, we're having a good time. Yes, it will switch to, appropriate when we need it, but we always try to have as much fun as we can because we see how short life is and how important it is to be with people and just show up for people and love each other. I mean, that's really
And also,
it's
like, you just
great.
have to laugh. Like, laughter is healing. Laughter is a bonding
Yeah.
experience. Laughter is a big thing. And I deal with most of my trauma with humor. Like I said, my mom died by suicide in 2003. And the dead mom jokes that I make in private with the people
So
around
funny.
me, just to see how uncomfortable I can make people, including my son, it
Yeah.
brings joy to my heart. So like, yeah, especially when you get into fields like ours where,
Yeah.
I like to say we're a lot of fun at parties. Because once you say what you do, like the morticians of the world, the funeral directors of the world, the medical examiners of the world, the deaf people in general, if I say I'm a suicidologist, I either get people telling me their entire life story or they're just like, oh, okay, cool. And then I Homer
And they
Simpson
run.
into the bushes.
Yeah. The Grandpa
But
Simpson right out the door.
yeah,
Yeah.
we generally have just wild senses of humor because we have to.
Well, as you mentioned that too, I'm thinking of when I popped my head in to take some photos when you were doing your presentation at the
Yeah,
Great Beer Start
I remember
conference,
you.
and you guys were like, you're laughing, you're smiling, and I'm thinking, this is about suicide. Why isn't
Yeah.
everybody like stone cold sober? But it was just like, boop, and
It
like
doesn't
you
have
said,
to be that
yeah,
way though.
yeah, yeah,
Like if you really think about it, how long ago breast cancer was like a no yuck yuck boobies topic? Like
Yeah.
you just didn't talk about it.
yeah,
And now we have football players wearing pink. We have the Ren scent lit up in pink. Like it's a save second base. Like there's some humor. There's a conversation around it. When you can't laugh about it, you can't be comfortable around a topic because it's been made uncomfortable. And that's what people do. The world didn't do that. We did
right.
that. You're less likely to get people involved in it,
Yeah.
because it's
Hmm.
too serious. It's too hard. And it really doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah,
So
yeah. No one wants to be around a bummer, That's no one wants to be a bummer, man. But that is what it is. It's like, how are you supposed to heal in all this
yeah.
tragedy?
Right.
Yeah.
Like you just gotta be
It's,
able to roll with it.
and I was walking around like the after party kind of, setups that they have there with my buddy Dave. And we're walking around and people would be like, oh, what brewery are you with? I'm like, I'm not with any brewery. And they're like, well, what do you do? And I'm like, suicide stuff. And he would just like die every single time. And I was like, because if I say I'm a suicidologist or I do suicide prevention to every single person, they're you can see them go, ugh. But if I say suicide stuff, they kind of chuckle a little bit. And then I don't explain further and I just move about my day. Like, I'm not trying to bum them out. They're having a good time. Like,
Yeah.
they think I'm joking. It's fine. Whatever. If they have more questions, I'll answer it. They'll probably run into me or be like, who was that?
Yeah.
And that's fine. It's fine. Just like you have to have a little bit of a sense of humor. But Dave, yeah, his face after he's like, do you say that to everybody? I'm like, yeah, in this context, yeah.
Yeah. I always tease
I'm
that
just trying to
sometimes
have a
she
drink.
needs a translator. Yeah. I'm like, sometimes she needs a translator.
Too
So is that Dave
seriously,
Seacat that
yeah.
you were? Yeah, he is a great guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like speaking of breweries and restaurants, if there's a brewery or restaurant owner that wants to better support their staff's mental health, but doesn't know where to start, what would be the one piece of advice you would give them to get them started?
Hey, Laura, what do you say?
Well, one of the reasons I was there for the convention was A, because I'm a good time, but also because now that I do QPR training, that was something that the brewery folks wanted to be a part of. So QPR stands for question, persuade, and refer. So it deals with learning how to recognize when someone's talking about suicide or maybe they just bring it up in conversation, like so one of the trainings that we did there was talking to these groups and saying, if someone comes and sits in your bar and they say, they can say some things, and then I would give them examples of things that they could say and be like, this would be a good opportunity to ask them, more about that or try and get a feel for them. And just that's what the question aspect is of it. And then the persuade would be like persuade them to get help if they're not already getting help. And then referring would be help refer them into treatment if you feel like it has progressed to that point. So it kind of is recognizing different parts of conversation that we hear all the time. I just don't feel like being here anymore. I'm just sick of everything. I'm just so done with everything, like
Mm-hmm.
things like that, where someone's sitting at your bar saying that, you'd be like, yeah, man, I know how you feel or whatever. And then maybe you just have another shot and you move on. But
Yeah.
maybe, just by you talking to that person instead of just letting that slide, you could have saved their life. And it's wild to me how it's wild to me how unprepared Michigan is for talking about suicide. So it's cool that the breweries all were interested in it, and we had a great group of people in there that just wanted to learn more. And then lucky for me, I have Katie, who is like the data queen. So then people would ask something and she'd be like, well, in 2003 there was this study done, and like she's got that it's all in there. I don't know how she knows how to still tie her shoes with this kind of stuff she has in
Because
her
it's
head.
fascinating and exciting stuff. But yeah, so QPR training is a service that we offer. So if there
Great.
are breweries or if there's tap rooms and tasting rooms out there that would like to train their staff to not only support the customers and clients that come in, but also the peers and their staff, that is something that we do offer. It is a paid service, and that would help. That is something that helps us keep going and doing the free outreach and sending free resource materials to schools and doing all the other stuff that we do for free. So it's a great way to be able to support us and your staff and your team and your clients and your customers.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Keeps me employed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it keeps you employed, most
Yeah.
importantly.
Yeah.
So, I have a question, and it has to do with an example. Can you share a story, anonymously, of course, of a time when 6 Feet Over was able to step in and change the trajectory for a family or an individual?
Yes, and I'm going to tell you like my favorite story ever. And I don't mean that like, yay, this person lost, these people lost somebody to suicide, but it's one of the most impactful stories that we have, and it's fairly old, but I think it speaks to what we continue to do. I would say about eight years ago, we were contacted by another organization that there was a family in need where it was a low income family. The dad had actually been picked up on a warrant for unpaid parking tickets and was in jail for 3 days. During those 3 days, there were 4 children that were home alone with mom. Mom died by suicide. So these kids were alone with mom. Eventually, she was found. She was, sent to the ME's office, and we were contacted. I want to say it was about a month before she would have needed to be surrendered to the state. So we're talking like 3 or 4 months she had been there. And they wanted to provide a service for mom. And this was in partnership with the other organization who referred us. They were there as support, and the sheriffs of that county. And so we all worked together. 6 Feet Over, our lemonade program, provided additional resources to the dad, made sure that the kids had whatever they needed. In addition to that, we also paid for cremation and a memorial service that they wanted to just have like a community center. We got jewelry for each one of the kids to separate mom's ashes into, and the dad. So that way, because they were low income, housing insecure, if they ended up having to leave their house or go into foster care systems because their dad couldn't take care of them at the time, they all had part of their mom with them.
Wow.
And they would forever. So we gave that family a service. We gave those kids a piece of their mom that they can take with them wherever they go. And they always had her with them as something that they can hold. We still hear from that dad. And, it's really cool because the kids, when, I've got pictures of them when they were little, and now they're like late teens and into their adulthood now. And last I heard, they're doing great. They're doing fine. So the difference in what they got versus what they were about to have.
Yeah.
They would have probably not even known where their mom went. So just being able to provide a family that was really struggling, they took every resource we provided to them. They were great, and I'm really proud of them. And the dad, he actually is a rapper, so he's like, he's like, I incorporate 6 Feet Over into my songs. And I was like, I'd love to hear that. That would be interesting.
Yeah.
How did you fit that in there? But I just think it's one of the coolest things in the world that we're able to do that for people. That was a super low cost thing for us to do. I think in total, it was under $2,000 that it took to be able to give that family what they needed and the dignity that mom deserved.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic.
It is fantastic. I feel like I keep on coming back to this question, and I feel like I should know the answer to it, but I think I know, but I'm gonna ask, so I'm not guessing. Where does the name 6 Feet Over come from?
Okay. So it is a little bit of play on words from the show 6 Feet Under.
I was wondering that.
Yeah. But also because of what we do, so we started out as Just Suck at Suicide, but then when I got conned by a co-founder named Amelia Leto to have it become a nonprofit, she was like, it should be a nonprofit. And I was like, well, okay. And then she was like, my dad's a lawyer. We can do it tomorrow. And I was like, oh God, you're serious. Okay. I realized that like Suck at Suicide wouldn't let us do anything else. Like it doesn't allow us to break into like, different demographics very well. It might limit our funding opportunities. So, I was driving in my car, and I shit you not, I was just driving, and it was one of like the sun broke through clouds. So like a ray of sun hit my car, and I was like 6 feet over, because we're there to support people who are left 6 feet over, and to help people who need or want to stay 6 feet over. So like that makes sense to me. So it gave us a lot of opportunity in the language to expand however we wanted to in the future. And that includes even now, like we have 2 programs now, we could build on that.
Yeah. Because it's all the aspects of mental health lead to having a rewarding life above, right? So that's awesome.
That's the idea. Make a life worth living.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I love that. Love it.
Yeah.
So, I didn't coin that phrase. That phrase is not like a Katie Hardy registered. I've heard it 1,000 times over the past 20 years. So I'm going to be like, Katie said this great thing. I'm repeating. I'm parroting.
Yeah.
Well, we've kind of touched on it a little bit as we've been talking, but what are the biggest challenges that 6 Feet Over is facing right now?
Let me tell you about that. We have kind of touched it a little bit. So with the expansion of our staff, which we do need because the need is high.
Right.
We had appropriated funds through the state of Michigan for 2025, and that was great. But I don't know if you noticed, but everything is wild right now.
Yeah.
And even though we had a sponsor to get appropriated funds for 2026, it just didn't happen. So right now, the 6 Feet Over Lemonade program, that funding for the after death costs, that is on hold until we can get funds again. So our biggest challenge right now is fundraising. We need people to support us and our programming so that way we can keep our staff like Laura. That way we can start helping families again as soon as possible. Just last week, one of our volunteers lost a parent, and I lost a friend. And I can't help with either. And as somebody who's been doing this for as long, and this is the first time that this has happened to us.
Oh man.
So I want to be able to help people. And I think the larger community wants to be able to help people. So yeah, funding, making donations, hiring us to do QPR, which is what we'll end up paying for Laura to stay on. If you want Laura to have a job, no guilt here, but hire us.
Help
help us.
Help me. I don't want to have to go back to real work. This is the best real work.
Right.
And if you want to do a fundraiser, if you want to whatever you might want to do just to help us stay alive until we get some other things that we're working on in the works, that would be incredible and very, very impactful.
Yeah. And we've had some cool folks that reached out and helped fundraise for us, and it just is so nice to see the community taking care of us like that. Like the firefighters gave us a nice check, and like they just different kinds of it's just nice to see it. It's nice
Like
to see the
we've got a
support. And
tattoo fundraiser on the 28th. Like if you
yeah,
even think of it, we're gonna do it.
yeah,
My friend
Chuck, if you're
Nadia,
ready
who
for a
also
new
did the
tattoo.
lemonade, she did the lemonade logo for us in 2020.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, who did the logos?
So the 6 Feet Over logo was done by Brooke Brewster. She's a former board member. She's now I think she just does, not just, but she's a glass artist. She does stained glass art up north. And then Suck at Suicide was done by Cheryl Tash, who's a longtime tattooer at Eternal in Livonia. And then Nadia Garber did our lemonade logo, and she's the owner of Valiant Arts and Tattoo in Clinton Township.
Nice.
Yeah.
Excellent. Very cool.
Yeah, a bunch of really cool ladies did our stuff.
That's fantastic.
Wow.
I love it.
That's cool.
Yeah, talented ladies.
I
So,
love
you
that kind
know,
of
here's my my little, like, the light is going on, going, okay, we're almost to the end. Can you believe we've been talking for nearly an hour? Is there anything we've not talked about that you really wanted to mention? Any shout outs? Any topic?
Well, personally, I'd like to thank the rest of our staff. I know Sam McCullough, she's our lemonade director, and she's an incredible human being. And as much as I rely on Laura, so she's incredible. All of our volunteers, which is another thing, volunteer for us. Really appreciate all of the people who've supported us over the years and continue to. Yeah. Anything else that we haven't touched on? Just be good humans to each other, give each other a little bit of grace, be a good listener, shut up sometimes. It's not always about you, even though we want it to be, and ask questions. Hey, Laura, what about you?
I mean, I was gonna say something along the lines of like, well, I mean, our support is what keeps us going, and like donations help, of course, but it's just as important to ask the hard questions when you feel uncomfortable, and just showing up for people months later and not being afraid to talk about suicide openly. It just, all of that benefits all of us, and being able to reach out and have these different community partners that we team up with to do some of these events have been great. Recently, well, I mean, we're always doing cool events, but like it just is great to be able to tie us all together. So, I mean, one shout out I would say would be to Foxhole. They're great. They helped us raise some money for a lifting thing, and they were training me in jujitsu, which is it's a veterans program, but they've like let me come in as like a mascot because I'm so traumatized that they're like, oh, she's fine with us.
She
Uh,
invited me to go, and I was like, no,
I was
I
like, you
don't
got to come do jujitsu. She's like, are
care.
you out of your mind? I was like, I'm trying new things this year. And she's like, you're crazy. No, but, but no, but just like
Not
finding those
sporty.
groups, and but then finding out how we can help each other. Like we can help them with resources, and we can help refer that vets to them that, are having a hard time transitioning. So it's things like that where you can find ways to work with other community partners, and just no one's coming to save us. We got to save each other, and just find a way to make all of us have that good life together that we all deserve. We all deserve love and care, and that's what we're all about. So I guess
Yeah.
that's my lasting thing.
Mhm.
Well,
Um,
it's going back to like punk and metal ethos as far as like DIY and taking care of your community, right? So
yeah,
working together.
Oh, I was a
and
pit medic. I know.
yeah. Pit medic.
pit
Yeah.
medic. Oh man, I could go on and on about stories about the pit but anyway.
We got to do another episode, Chuck, because I want to interview you guys so bad. I feel like we talked the whole time, but you guys had so many good stories that I was like, Katie, I love them. You just are going to want to talk to them all day. And so, yeah, it would be nice to see you guys again
We'll
for
have to
that.
get together
We'll get together.
socially, do something
Yeah,
like
let's
that.
do it.
Yeah.
I'm
There you
in.
go. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, come down visit our office too. If you guys ever end up in the Detroit area, we've got an office, 96 and Warren. You can stop by and see our old pickle factory turned cool artist workspace. But you
Cool.
guys got to come check it out when you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I'm trying to think of when we're going to be back in Detroit. We're headed over to Grand Rapids for the
Winter Beer
Grand
Fest.
Rapids,
Yeah.
Beer Fest here soon.
Cool.
Yeah.
So
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Have fun
that's
there.
fun.
Say hi to everybody for me.
Oh,
Also, Scott Donovan. A lot of people in the beer community know Scott Donovan. He's a new board member and an old friend of mine.
Oh,
And I was
cool.
like, "Hey, old beard guy, give me some beer people." Also, he's really good at fundraising. He's been a longtime supporter and helper anyway. But
He's
That's
just a
awesome.
sweetheart. He's just such a great guy.
I like to say I'm charming, like a cult leader, and I just
Yeah.
meet people and then I keep them forever.
Yeah.
Well, I like the term you used earlier, catfishing. So that's
Yeah.
awesome. I think of somebody
I'm
like in the bio
fine.
noodling
Susan.
down in there, like and pulling out a
Yeah.
catfish.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Oh,
What I do. All right. Well, I appreciate you all. Thank you so much. You're a lot of fun, and you're not terrible humans, which I really appreciate.
well,
and that's a
thank
compliment.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
But we have
Laura,
one more
translation.
question.
oh yeah.
Yay. Okay.
Question.
Yeah.
Oh,
Want to ask it, Chuck?
Do you want to, babe?
No, it's
all right.
yours.
All right. So this is a question for each of you, and it is, what is your perfect Michigan day? So like, where would you go? What would you do? And what kind of beverage would you finish it off with?
Oh,
This is a good question. Perfect Michigan day.
Yeah.
All right. So, my husband and I are disgusting and gross. We're like that couple that everybody's like, ew. So it would be with him, hands down. Been married for 21 years. Like I will still pick him every day. So probably with him going for a hike somewhere.
Nice.
It needs to be like 74 or 75, partly cloudy with a breeze. I am not an outdoor person. I need very specific temperatures. And then as for beverage, golly, that's a question. So if it's an alcoholic beverage, I'm sorry, my beer fellas, if beer gives me an instant hangover now in my 40s. So it has to be like a Tito's and tonic with double lime.
Nice.
If it's a non-alcoholic beverage, I'm going for any LaCroix that you can throw at me.
Fantastic.
Yeah. What
Laura.
about you? I think I know what yours.
it's wild because a perfect day for me is really anything outside. I love being on my bike. I love riding my bike through Detroit and going to Belle Isle and doing that. But also, if I could see now, my perfect day would be me being able to bike and see Bob Dylan on Belle Isle. That would be my ideal day because I've seen him a bunch of times, and I'm going to see him at the Fox coming up here.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
even splurged, and I got what I call my aunt and uncle tickets because, like, my aunt and uncle can afford to get the good seats. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to be sitting with all my aunts and uncles up in the front by myself. But if I could see him on Belle Isle and bike and have a picnic and whatever, that would be great. As far as like my favorite food to drink for that, it doesn't matter as long as it's cold and the weather's nice and you can see all the creatures out. I don't drink alcohol at all, so that's been like my fun drinks are more like, oh my God, I'm so sad. It would be like water with basil in it.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
it's so
fantastic.
boring. Or I like to make my own little seltzer, or like I've got a soda stream my sister got me and it's so bougie. But I got that, and I'll throw in like rosemary and basil in there and like some lemon or something like that. So I'd have like a little fresh drink, and then just lots of little snacks. I love all food, but I love Arabic food and I love Arabic snacks for picnics because I feel like they're so easy to take. So I would say some sort of little picnic on Belle Isle with Bob Dylan.
With Bob Dylan.
Dylan.
What
I
a
love
what a
it.
man.
Yeah, you and I are
Oh.
two totally different people.
I
So.
know. Because other than that,
I'm
I'd say
like, if there's
camping.
music, he wouldn't even hit my top 100 for me.
Yeah, you're insane. It's fine.
Yeah.
Like he should definitely be in your top 5. Like this makes me crazy.
Yeah, no. Like I love you, but
Like
no.
the OG.
Like, yeah.
That's who everybody and everybody gets their influence from him. So it's always like, what you talked about. So you
Yeah,
just
my
enjoy it.
Spotify
Not bored.
playlist, both Laura and Griffin, they both give me credit. They're like, it's unhinged. It really is. It'll be like Cyndi Lauper and then Scumfuck, and then it'll be
Yeah,
like Diablo
yeah.
and Devil, and it'll be,
Yeah. It's
all
all
over
over the
place.
place. Yeah. Mine's all
Yeah.
over the place too, but I like what I like to call like old lady rock. I'm a big fan of like the old lady rock, and I love my old stuff.
Yeah.
So
And Bob Dylan. So we got to make sure that Bob comes out there. How old? Bob's like 84 now, right? Something like that.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he is 84 because I want to say someone asked me this and I was so scared to look it up because I was like, I don't want to know. I don't want to know how old he is because I'll just worry about him all the time because he's getting up there. But
I mean, just this past week alone, so many people have died, and I'm just like, listen, I respect Bob Dylan. If with this conversation tomorrow we wake up and he's gone, I'm blaming you guys.
I know. Oh my God, don't do that. Oh God.
I'm putting that juju on.
Oh man.
So.
Oh no.
Bob, stay alive, Bob. Stay alive.
I'm sending good vibes that way.
Yeah.
Yes,
I'll burn some sage.
you.
It's happening.
Burn some sage.
Please Bob live forever. I know.
Awesome. Well, Katie, Laura, thank you so much again for being on I almost said Fans with Bands. This is another podcast. Life in Michigan.
Oh, thank you
Absolutely
so
our
much.
pleasure. Thank you for having us.
You guys are absolutely great. And it's been just a delight to hang out with you guys for a little bit today. So thanks for this little brightness in our afternoon. So we appreciate you both and love the show. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to hit subscribe on your favorite podcast service to catch every episode of Life in Michigan. Help us spread the word by rating the show, sharing it with your friends, your neighbors, your family, your mail carrier. Share it with everybody, and leave a comment. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Stay connected by following us on our website and social media. This is a Life in Michigan production. Until next time, take care and have a fantabulous day in Michigan.